Hi, everybody. Welcome. If you are live and with me, just drop a hi. Let me know that you're out there. And if also this is your first time here, would love to have you just share if this is your first time with us, just so kind of I know who's in the room. So I know who I'm speaking to. Adrian, good to see you, my man. Roy, I think that's a new name. I don't know. You'd let me know if this is your first time here. I actually got a knot in my lower trap that I'm going to be stretching and working through as we're going to be here today. So you guys are going to see me like move my body a little bit. Emily, welcome. Marilda, welcome. Kirsten, nice to see you. Happy to have you guys here with me. Sally Smith, good to be with you. Beautiful. I think the only name that I think I see as new might be Roy. Yes. Amazing. Okay, great. I love that you're jumping in, and yeah, excited to have you here. I was kind of thinking during a meditation earlier today about what's been present in my life and what I kind of wanted to bring through today. And what came through for some reason today was, and you guys let me know if this would be of interest to you. Hey, Alicia. What came through was this part of us that, well, I'm gonna say it differently. There's like two aspects of ourselves. There is the deeper soul part, right? Like the one, like who we actually are. And that part of us is wanting something, right? It wants growth. It wants certain experiences. It wants to experience fulfillment and peace and love and things of that nature. And then there's the more like human parts side. And what came through today for me was, why is it that it's so difficult to get the soul part of us aligned with the human part of us? And I was thinking about how people in my life, clients, friends, family members, I'm sure you guys have a bunch of these too, that tell you all the things that they want to do in life. I want to do this, and I want to have this relationship. I want to get out of this relationship. I want to start this business. I want to start this career. And then they never do. Like they talk about it a lot ad nauseum sometimes. And then when it comes to actually like taking action or moving forward with something, they don't. And I was watching, so I play a lot of tennis, and there were these two little girls today. I mean, they might have been like, I know one of them is 9 because she actually hits with my son who's 12, and by the way, kicks his ass. He's happy to get his ass kicked by this 9-year-old. She's just that good. And it was, I don't know if it was her friend or her sister or something, but maybe even slightly younger, like 7 or 8 years old. And they're on the court hitting tennis balls, and it is a work of art. I mean, like, to watch a girl who's, I don't know, she's 3 foot something. She's so small. The racket's like almost as big as her, doing the things that she's doing on the tennis court and like loving it, right? Beautiful smile, like working her butt off, sprinting, running, the whole deal. And in contrast, I was actually talking to my buddy who I was playing with about how I notice, like in my son, who has told me that he'd love to homeschool and play tennis full time. But when it comes to like going out and practicing, and when I turned 30 and really started playing tennis, like my birthday present, and my mom still calls it my stupid birthday present. When she asked me what I wanted for my 30th birthday, I said, I want a tennis ball machine. And she's like, you want a what? And I was like, yes, I want a tennis ball machine. She's like, what's a tennis ball machine? They hadn't been playing tennis at that time yet. And I explained to her, she's like, that's the stupidest birthday present ever. I was like, well, you asked me what I want. This is what I want. And why did I get that? Because for me, like, I love the mastering of anything. It's the reason that day in and day out for 20 plus years, I've been playing a game of mastering, the game of personal development and spirituality and understanding what makes everything in here tick and what makes things out there tick and why are humans the way they are. Like, I love that. I don't need someone to come to me in the morning and be like, did you do your practices today? Did you meditate? Did you do your practices? Like, I don't need that. For me, I love it so much. Like, if I could do it all day long and that's the only thing I would do, that's the only thing I would do. And then I'm talking about my son and I'm watching these girls play here and like, they're out there basically every day. And so I have a tennis ball machine here and I've offered to my son, I was like, I will take you out with the ball machine, like anytime you want. And so now he has like, we've created some sort of a schedule, but like every time it's like, I gotta like, bribe is not the right word because I don't bribe him, but like, there isn't that intrinsic self drive, right, that he has. And so I'm talking to my buddy and he was telling me how his daughter actually, who was an incredible dancer, quit dancing. Like, she just stopped loving it. And then I was talking to another friend of mine like a couple of days ago, and he was telling me how the same thing with his son in basketball. And I don't know, I just kind of like, I start to see these patterns, right, in like the way that humans are. And I'm curious for you guys that are here with me, what do you notice about this? Like, I'd love for you to just kind of like drop some comments in. And, do you find this in yourself? Do you see this in this like, I want to, and then something takes over, right? And it's like, I guess what came through today in my meditation is like, why do we sabotage ourselves like that? Why do we buy into these scared human impulses that stop us from doing the things and taking on things and investing in things that at a soul level, if like you moved all the other stuff away, are such a clear yes, like, yes, I want to do this. And then that thing just comes. Yeah, so Alicia says, I have a similar struggle in a relationship when ambition or desire to grow is lacking in another. Yeah, I find that too. Honestly, for me in that world, like, I've really come to understand that different people are at different places in their lives and are like playing a game, right? Like you guys are here with me right now. Some of you guys have invested in certain programs, even more advanced programs that we have, right? Like, because you've invested in yourself, because there's something inside of you that said, you know what? Yes, like, I am worth it. I'm going to do this. And that's not to say that you didn't have the same mind stuff that came through and was like, you're an idiot. And why would you spend this much time and this much money and blah, blah, blah. What if it doesn't work? Like all the human stuff. I guess my curiosity is like, what is it about certain people that take action from that place versus those that buy into all of the excuses and then never really like what I'm going to call get on the court, if you will. Like they kind of like to sit in the stands and opining. I don't know what the hell I just did, by the way. Apple started this new thing, but I don't know what the hand gestures are yet that actually make it happen. I figured this one out. Look. And I figured this one out. But what just happened with the fireworks, I have no idea. Like, I don't know what hand gesture I did to make that happen, but there are some cool ones in this, in any event. Yeah. So Roy Crocker says, I have a friend who does this for everything. Jean Marco says, I just got out of a major self-sabotaging episode. This time I didn't even recognize myself. Yeah. Adrian says, I'm not sure. It's fight between who I want to be deep down, the real me, and the complex conditioning around me and within me, but not sure I understand. Yeah. So Adrian, kind of like exactly what you're pointing to is the curiosity. And look, I'm not here to give you an answer. I can give you my perspective. I don't have like a fix. I didn't bring this up today to be like, all right, and here's the, fix to all of this, and you get to go around to all your friends and be like, oh, do this. Because honestly, I don't know what it is for individual people. There's a few things that I have noticed, and I'm going to talk first about myself and then about others. So I think there's certain people that are just intrinsically more motivated than others. I think people just move towards what it is that they want. Some people move towards what it is that they want a lot easier than others. I feel very blessed because when I was 21 is when I started my journey into personal development. So one of the first things I realized was that the soul, like the real version of us, is limitless, infinite. In fact, it has multiple lifetimes to achieve what it wants to achieve. So even time is not a factor to the infinite soul, right? Like the way I picture it is if you've ever played video games and you get to a level and you die at that level, it's like you just come back and you get to play the level again. I almost feel like that's how the soul perceives this whole thing. Like, yes, it's living this physical life right now, but it knows that when this physical life ends, there's going to be another one. So what gets accomplished in this timeline is not make or break, right? It's like, okay, we'll get to do it all over again. So to the soul, it's like infinite opportunity, infinite possibility. To the human, though, I think fear plays a massive, massive part in all of this. And if you haven't done our Millionaire Mind Intensive, the MMI program, we really take a deep dive into the human fear aspect and how to not shy away from it, rather to actually use it as a highlighter for you to see the aspects of yourself that actually sabotage you and stop you from taking, bigger leaps into what it is that you actually want. And so I was really lucky to, at a very, very young age, to begin to investigate these aspects of myself. And when you start to confront the ways that you self-sabotage and the things that the mind tells you that you buy hook, line, and sinker that stop you like dead in your tracks and not moving towards your goal, it is confronting. It is eye-opening. At times, it is incredibly annoying. And so I think I was very lucky to begin the investigation of all of that very, very early on in my adulthood, and because of that, I think a lot of the things that usually stop people, I was kind of able to work through because I had this lens of, oh, this is just another one of those mind created hurdles. It's not actually real. And I can kind of, work through that. That was a long time ago. I think now, as I've merged the mindset piece of the understanding with the more energetic piece of like what's actually happening in the nervous system, because the issue that I see with mindset work on its own is that you are, I'm going to call it bypassing, but you're in essence bypassing aspects of yourself. And when you bypass these aspects of yourself, yes, you can overcome them. Yes, you can kind of like go around them and go do the things that you want. However, if it's being bypassed, that means it's still inside. And so now the next time that you want to go take that action, you're going to be confronted with the same exact hurdle. How many of you guys know what I'm speaking to right now, where it's like you've done mindset work, where you've self-empowered yourself with like positive thinking or a new story or a reframe, and you did that thing, you took the action, but then whether it was a month later, 6 months later, a year later, you kind of like hit the same hurdle over and over and over and over and over. So as you keep playing this game of expansion, you're just hitting that hurdle. Let me know if that sounds familiar. I'm just going to read some comments here as you are doing that. Roy bringing through something very nice. I like this. I think my friend just doesn't have faith in herself and is very much in the daily mindset of normal life. Yeah, I think that's a huge piece, right? That's kind of what I was pointing to as well. Marilda says, or maybe our human part urges us to do certain activities, but our soul doesn't want to. So we struggle to do those activities. Recently, my son stopped swimming. He was great at it, but he started to get sick at every practice until he stopped swimming, crying because he really wanted to swim. The truth maybe was that his soul maybe didn't want to do it. When he stopped, he became happier. And I played his basketball. He's not as good as swimming, but he's happy. I don't know if that makes sense. Marilda, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm not saying that your son would necessarily want to do this, but that's I want to kind of use this as a great example. So what a lot of people would do in that particular case, right? It's like they're getting sick from something. Like there's a physical reaction. And what they'll do is they'll be like, all right, this is not for me, so I'm going to move here. Okay. Now, I'm a big believer that everything that happens in our lives is simply here to highlight certain things for us. So like when you're in a relationship, any relationship, intimate, work, friends, whatever it is, right? Like each relationship is here to mirror back to us aspects of ourselves. When we say things like they did this to me, or what they did didn't really sit well with me, or I really didn't like what they did, what I want to offer you is they didn't do anything. What happened was you witnessed life through a certain lens, here, and then here. And that energetic transmission, whatever that was, hit something inside of you that was already in there way before that circumstance happened or that situation happened. And it opened something inside. It like highlighted an aspect of yourself that what we have gotten really good at as humans is dismissing them and putting them away. Michael Singer talks about like these glass bottles of every experience that we've ever had, every traumatic experience. It's like we put all of that in a glass bottle and we put a top on it and we store it deep down inside. And we're like, I never want to experience this again. I never want to see it. But each one of these vials has like all of it, the visceral feeling, the emotional feeling, like it's just the stinkiest, most rotten smelling thing that's in there. And when someone, anything out here, it could be a global event, a politician, a friend, a intimate lover, it doesn't matter what, they're going to do or not do something, say or not say something. And in that circumstance, there's this like energetic wave that comes and it hits and it opens this bottle of stink and disgust inside of you. And your body has a visceral response to the point that what Marilda is pointing to, it's like sometimes when these things get hit, it actually makes you sick. Because the trauma and the thing that it is highlighting was so violent and so bad that it's like your body can't handle it. It actually makes you sick. Now, most people take themselves out of that circumstance, out of that relationship, out of that environment, whatever it is, and they're like, I'm never going to have to deal with that again. But that's the human. And what happens is you will find another circumstance, another person, another situation that's going to highlight and open that bottle again. Because the bottles never go away until you actually witness them and allow them through presence practice, not by yourself in your own room, because you will never be able to do this, but through presence, like through the ability to sit with another that's going to offer your nervous system safety, through a group field that offers you safety in a container. You can then go and touch those aspects, allow for it to open inside, allow for the entire visceral experience and wave of it all. And as that energy moves through, right? Emotion, energy and motion, as that wave moves through without you resisting it or trying to bottle it up and squeeze it back down, you're now releasing that from your nervous system. And as you release that from your nervous system, it is gone forever. And so now the next time your son goes swimming or you're in an interaction with whatever it is, there isn't even that thing inside to be hit. So I don't know, again, like for me to work with Marilda's son, for example, like I would actually sit with him and we would bring into his mind's eye as I connected to him and brought him to a grounded, peaceful state, and he could feel that I'm there holding him. We would actually bring that event into his mind's eye, and his body's going to respond immediately to that input. The same things are going to start revving up. That same sinking feeling in his stomach and that like knot thing that's going to like roll around and he's going to feel like he's going to have to puke on himself, all of it. However, we're doing it in a safe container with a practitioner in a safe environment. And so it's like your body can keep checking and your nervous system can keep checking that like, wow, I'm not alone. I have support and I'm safe. And it allows for the entire experience to move through. And then once it moves through, it's gone. And so I like that example because I think most of us can relate to something where it's like we've been in an environment and that environment made our insides feel uncomfortable. And our answer, or the human answer, was, I need to get the fuck out of here. Like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not dealing with you. I'm not dealing with the circumstance. I'm out. Now, I'm not saying that that's not a answer or a solution. Don't take me wrong. Like, sometimes that's the best thing to do, right? Like, I have a friends group right now. Like, we have a WhatsApp group, and you know, with everything that's happening in the world, like, people have different ways that they try to seek safety. And in this particular group, like, what they find is safe is sharing all the horribly anti-Semitic things that are happening around the world, because safety for them comes from being informed. Now, it's a delusion of safety, right? It's like, if I know what's happening, if I know everything, then I feel safe. But they don't feel safe because there's no amount of information. There's no amount of knowing that's ever going to feed that aspect of themselves. So that thing that keeps getting highlighted is like, I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. And now the mind is just doing what mind does. Now, for me, that environment is not healthy. I don't want to know all that stuff that's happening around because I can feel how it attacks aspects of my nervous system. And I'm like, I choose not to have that. I choose things that bring love and peace and stability into my life. And hearing about someone doing something in some university or someone blah, 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 like that doesn't bring peace or stability into my life, right? That brings more anger or rage or upset or whatever it is. So I'm like, I just choose not to do it. So I took myself out of that environment for now. So I'm not saying it's not a good thing, or a bad thing. Ultimately, though, my work, my practice is to actually sit with right now all these energies that are swirling around and begin to notice what is being highlighted in my nervous system, because it's nothing that was created yesterday, right? These are things that have been in this nervous system for a long time. And I can use all of these circumstances to actually highlight for me where I'm being stopped, where I'm self-sabotaging, where I'm playing small. Is this all making sense? I just want to make sure that we're kind of clear and that you're picking this up. I'm going to read some other one as you guys are writing there. My suspicion is when conditioning is so strong and societal norms are regularly reinforced, the glimpses of what is possible are limited and self-belief of influence potential is minimal. I agree 100%. Sally Smith says, I think it's self-esteem. Some people don't believe they can finish things, so have tons of unfinished stuff and get despondent or run out of resources. Yes, I actually think, Sally, that the whole self-belief and trust in oneself is one of the largest epidemics. Like, I see so many people in our work who buy a digital course, get tremendous value, and then when it's time to invest more, right? Like invest more time, invest more energy, receive more support, they hit this wall, and the wall is like, I don't trust that I will be able to fulfill on this. I don't trust that I'll be able to complete this. I don't trust that it will work for me. And what I offer them is like, look, that issue, that trust issue has been around for a long time. It's not new. It's the same thing that keeps sabotaging and stopping you in so many other areas. So the only way to shift that is to actually start to come from a completely new and different energy. Because any action that you take, it's not about the action, it's about the energy behind the action. So if you were to take an action and behind that action was the energy of, I don't really trust that this will work for me, guess what you are going to manifest? That's now the future that you're going to be walking into. And so the results and the things that you produce are going to keep highlighting for you the aspects of yourself that you don't trust. And this is why I tell people, you can be the smartest person in this room, but if you're trying to do this kind of level of healing work on your own, it is impossible. There's no digital product out there, and there is no book, and there's no video that you're going to be doing from the comfort of your own home that's going to allow you to actually process and heal these things out of your system to create that liberation. And the reason is very simple. Your mind, when that act first happened, when that rupture happened in the system, your mind looked at it and went, I will make sure that you never have to deal with this again. And we bury it. Now you go and you watch a video and you read and you do all these amazing things. Who's doing them? You or mind? It's not you doing it. It's mind doing it. So your mind is the one controlling your entire education. So now you come to this part of this video and this thing is being highlighted. It is just, it's like bubbling, right? What is the mind going to do? Is the mind going to let you sit there and actually go and process this? Or is it going to do the same thing that it's always done, where you feel it, but the second you feel it, the mind goes, nope, not today. And it bottles it back up. And so, yes, you got an understanding. And yes, you know where it is and how it lives and how it reacts and all that stuff. But as far as actually moving it through, cannot be done on your own. And so for all my information junkies out there, I'm telling you, you have self-inflicted upon yourself a situation and a lifetime of never actually moving any of this stuff through. You can write a thesis about who you are and why you do and da-da-da. But as far as like healing and like liberation from these things, cannot. Because as long as mind is involved and you are sitting there solo in the room, the mind's the one that's doing all the work, and you just cannot possibly move through these things. Roy Crocker says, MMI is an amazing program. I'm only 5 episodes in, and it's made me open my mind so much. Very exciting. That's amazing to hear, Roy. And again, like for anyone that's in MMI or any of our digital programs, I'm telling you, like, they're great. As Roy says, even amazing. And they're not going to get you there. That sounds really stupid from someone who's like creating these programs. But I'm telling you, like, I want you to consider them as like the introduction to who we are, what we're about, the community. Like, that's it. That's all it is. It's the amuse-bouche of a meal. Okay. You can love it. It can be the tastiest, most amazing thing. It's not going to fill you up. It's not the intention of it. Like, I tried for 15 years to do what I just described. I did program after program. I even went to like live seminars. But at the end of the day, I realized like I'm the one doing this on my own. And it wasn't until 8 years ago. And I always had a coach, by the way. So it wasn't like that. But there's this energetic component that I never had. That when an energetic body meets another energetic body, there's this osmosis that happens. For anyone that's a parent, you know, like there are things that your kids are doing that you didn't sit down and teach them with words. There's certain habits that they have, certain responses that they have. When you watch from the outside and you're like, holy shit, like, how are they doing that? Why are they doing that? Because we're constantly learning through osmosis at the energetic level. So your parents or guardians imprinted onto you all of their stuff. How to deal with confrontation, how to deal with sad, how to deal with rage, how to deal with anger, how to be with this kind of person, how to be with that kind of person. You didn't have a choice in any of that. That was all just imprint. And now these imprints are running your life, just like they ran mine. And some imprints are exceptional. Like they're just amazing. You're like, thank you, God, that I got that imprint. And plenty of others are ones that you have been battling to try to stop or overcome or fix for a long time. And I'm going to tell you what I told my team earlier. Like, if the actions that you have been taking has not moved the needle, then that should be a very, very eye-opening moment where you're like, oh, that type of action, no matter how much of it I do, how fast I do, whatever it is not going to produce the results that I want. So what my suggestion is, like, explore new ways. Try new things, knowing that whatever it is that's new that you're going to try, you're going to be slow at it or not good at it or whatever when it starts. Like, that's just how it goes. But that doesn't mean it's not for you. It just means that, like, it takes time. For 2 years, I sat with a practitioner every single week, 2 years for an hour and a half each week. That's just with him. That's not to mention all the other practices that I was doing every single day. And for 2 years, I could not feel what was happening in my body. Sometimes with him, I could feel it a little bit more, but like I just couldn't on my own. So I would sit with him and I would have this ecstatic experience. Then I would go and sit in my own practice, and it was like maybe 70% the next day and 30% the day after that. And by day 3, it was pretty much gone and back to, maybe not back to what it was, but like almost, like a negligible thing. And I just knew, I was like, okay, I know that what this is going to take is just practice, just like anything else. And now fast forward to 8 years later, like I'm that practitioner for other people to help them source and feel and liberate these things from their body. If you told me that, during that first year that I would ever get to this place, like I didn't believe it. I just thought that this person was really special and they had some special gifts and I wasn't, and blah, 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 blah. And here we are 8 years later, just practice and consistency. And it's happening for myself and clients and, people who are coaches and things like that. Like it just happens. It just takes you getting out of your own way long enough to just go through the motions without buying into the human opinion of you're not good enough or this is not meant for you. By the way, I went through all of these things. Like, this will never work for you. These people are so much more gifted. You don't have this skill set. Why are you wasting your time doing it? Like all of it. I went through all of it. And I felt something inside was like, just keep going. Just keep going. Alicia says, I was released from conformity unwillingly or unintentionally as a result of a psychological break from reality in my teens, psychiatric delusion. Took decades to see it as a gift. Wow, amazing. Yes, familiar, but I'm aware of it now at a very early stage of hitting the same wall. Here's hoping. Sally says, you guys are the only ones I've met who have pointed people inwards and not to just change the environment or create new behaviors. You focus on self-empowerment and self-compassion. I get impatient when I see people advising behavior change as coaches now because they don't do the whole work or cover the whole picture. Exactly what Sally says. Look, I think there's a time and a place for everything. I really do. If you're someone that's listening to this and what you want is real transformation, not a cool Band-Aid that you can put on a Friday so you can power yourself through the weekend and feel shitty again on Monday. Like, if that's what you want, go keep doing that. There's plenty of books and teachers and blah, 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 that will give you all the things to empower yourself in 20 minutes to go out and make life. But the truth is, you're fighting your inner self. And if you're fighting your inner self, right, like that resistance is going to be the thing that keeps toppling you over and over and over. And if instead you slow down and start doing things differently, like, you know what? I have read a lot of books, Elon. I have watched a ton of videos, and yet my relationship with my wife or my husband or my kids isn't where I want it to be. My body isn't where I want it to be. My finances isn't where I want it to be. And I've invested, I've done work. Get off that hamster wheel. I know that sometimes, like, raising our hands and saying, you know what, like, I need help. It takes something. You got to deal with all the shit that comes up about you feeling like a weak person or incapable, whatever, like, right? Like that ask, that reach is going to trigger and highlight like all these different things inside of you. Well, that's just it. That's just it. Marilda, you're so welcome. She says, oh, this is wonderful insight. I thank you very much. It seems much clearer to me now. For better or worse, we can recreate an experience with our thoughts. Yes, absolutely. Roy Crocker, yes, sounds like an empowering state to be in. Alicia, starting a business was the most eye-opening thing in discovering that nobody can give me permission to do anything. It is up to me to decide direction and sustain vision. I said for a long time that becoming an entrepreneur is probably one of the most direct ways, if you so choose, to the fastest growth opportunities in one's life. I think also intimate relationships and obviously having kids are incredible for highlighting that as well. Hey, Martina, good to see you. I swear I fall asleep and then wake up every week or day. I hear and resonate with these truths. Like to actually produce and contribute to change in the world is to change the energetic baseline of the human. Yeah. And that, look, this is what Guy and I are committed to. Like, I really want you to get that. I said this to our coaching group the other day, like, do you know how easy it would be for Guy and I to step aside and find 10 clients, work with people one-on-one, and just be done with the whole thing? Like, not build a community, not build other programs, not have a group of coaches, not do these lives. Like, for me to go out and be like, hey, I'm looking for 10 people to work with one-on-one on an annual basis, pay me a bunch of money, and like be done with it. We could, but we won't. And you know why? Because it's like Martina said, like my mission in life, our vision and mission in life is the shift of humanity to create a new groove and a new baseline for humans to operate inside of. Like the world that I want to walk into is a world that when you're having whatever experience in that day, you can literally find anyone on the street and they will instantly connect with you and help your nervous system downregulate in no more than 3 to 5 minutes so that you can find who you are again. Because, right, like when we're in that swirl, it feels like we're being hijacked. I think John Marco spoke about that earlier, right? It's like you so lose yourself in the doing and the trying to fix and the overcome that like when you come out of it, sometimes it's like, where the fuck did I go? And in order for that to happen, we have to, need to, I implore us to first turn inwards and find compassion and empathy for ourselves. We cannot possibly give to others that which we first have not given to ourselves. And if you're standing on the sideline and you haven't raised your hand because you're wanting support, then guess what? Support ain't never coming. I know it's hard. I really, really know it's hard. I know it's hard to admit that you can't do it on your own. Trust me, I'm like the most fiercely independent human on planet Earth. Came from 2 fiercely independent parents who moved us across the world, and we were the only ones that we could rely on. So yes, it's an amazing skill set, and it sucks when it comes to spiritual growth. Sucks. I wish I would have gotten off that hamster wheel at least a decade before I did. It took me 15 years to realize that one. 15 years. I don't know how long your journey's been. I am telling you right now, if you continue to do this on your own, you will find me in the next 5, 10, 15 years, because I'll still be here. And you will regret that you hadn't taken that plunge earlier. True healing, true changes in yourself and in humanity can only come through the re-templating of our inner system. And if you don't have templates that have ground and peace, support, safety, and well-being inside of them, and you are going to learn from said people, then you are just putting yourself on a totally whacked out energetic loop. And you might get smarter, but you're not really going to create the shifts that you want. Andrew says, I love MMI level 1, going back and reviewing them. Having been through level 2 and level 3, that is the game changer. Soul finder for me. So now when I go back and review it, it's even more deeper. Exactly. Because like until you open your nervous system and be able to receive the transmission that is in front of you, you will just process it through mind. And if you're processing it through mind, you're just kind of, you know, like it, to me, it's like there's a dusty table, right? And you want to clean the table. Moving dust from one place on the table to the other place on the table, you still have a dusty table. Maybe there's one part that's cleaner. Yes, I'll give you that. But like, you're still just moving dust. Internal work is what allows you to remove the dust totally, entirely. Veronique says, to continue on the metaphor of food, if MMI is the amuse-bouche, diving deep into all the levels of the Satori Prime world is like sitting in the finest restaurant and delecting on a gourmet meal for months. Only the work with support Satori Prime won't just create a memory, it will change your life. I've completed L3 at the beginning of the year, and it is useful in my life every single day. One of the things that I love about this work that's different, it truly gets you off the hamster wheel of having to collect more, because you're now, instead of looking for answers externally out here through this guru or this program or this book or like that we've all done, right? Like we chase and chase and chase. You get so acquainted with you at like the deepest level that you can receive your own divine guidance and your own truth, not mine, not Guy's, not any of our coaches. Like you can connect to your higher self and receive your truth in this very moment and wisdom. And as you do that, it's like no matter what you're experiencing in life, if you knew that your connection to God and an infinite is inside of you moment by moment by moment, you don't need to search anymore out here. And what we were just talking with the coaches, like there's just such a beautiful community here of people who are soul family. And this soul family, like through this community, has traveled around the world to be with each other. People that would have never met had it not been for this work, right? Like people who go through level 2 or level 3 and then like they meet people in there and they start doing practices with them. And you connect at such a deep soul level when you find people that can support you through this journey and truly, like really, really, really want you to have the best absolute life that you can. And will like do amazing things to help and support you on that path. It's so beautiful. So Roy says, I had a question for you about visualization and meditation and how I can't do it. Apparently it's called aphantasia, but I didn't want to accept that and was going to ask if you've come across that and if you can get through it and finally visualize. I think you've answered my question. I will tell you just from being around a lot of people who are incredible healers and practitioners, each person has a different way that we see. So for example, like when I track someone's system or even my own, I more see to feel. So like I can kind of like see, feel. Guy, on the other hand, he's more kinesthetic. So he feels more and then he can kind of see. But Guy's vision is not like my vision, but my felt sense is not like Guy's felt sense, right? So each person is kind of like wired differently. Now, what I find is the more that you do these practices, and especially as a practitioner, I'm incredibly lucky to be able to work with thousands of people every single year, right? Because as you keep practicing, it's like more nuance and more subtleties and more gifts just come online the more you open and kind of like the human gets out of the way. So I would offer, Roy, that let go that's a goal, right? Like, don't make the seeing the agenda. Shift into, and see if you can feel this, shift into allowing for exactly how it shows up moment by moment by moment without trying to make it be something else, right? Like, just experience what it is that you're experiencing in exactly the way that you're experiencing it. And as we do that, what we're like focusing on is we're opening our ability to just be with what's there. And in that, something begins to shift and new things just come online. Like, I sit there sometimes and something will come through. I'm like, oh, wow, that's really new. Like, I've never felt someone's energy in quite that same way, or their emotional body in quite that same way, or I've never received information in quite that same way. And that's what's kind of really fun about the work is it keeps expanding. Like, even after you complete L3, it's not like the work stops. It's just, it keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. Yeah, Jim Julie, I'm glad you started the journey too. Yeah, after years of going round and round in circles. Yeah, absolutely. Emily says, the divine within us is by far the most difficult thing to believe, as the religious abuse we experience is a deep trauma. Yeah, a lot of it, Martina also has shared some amazing stories with me. Like, there's just, religion, organized religion, while it has its beauty and its merits, at the end of the day, like, it didn't want you to find God within. It wanted you to find God in that building or through that human or through that whatever, so that you would be tied to the church, the synagogue, the mosque, the whatever, right? Like, if you had a whole bunch of humans running around with like, I can access God whenever I want, then religion becomes kind of useless, right? Like, we would want to congregate maybe just to be in a group setting and a group field so we can enhance that connection. But like, you wouldn't feel this necessity to be there. And so, yeah, they turned it into what they turned it into. It doesn't mean that like religion doesn't have beauty in it. There's gorgeous teachings and all of it. And I think it all comes honestly from the same place. And yes, there's certain people that have just had a lot of trauma around that. So yes, I can see as that being scary sometimes. Veronique said, to Elon's point, Story Prime truly is a soul family like he described. Whenever you need help and support, you just come to this family and you ask for what you need. There's always someone there ready to support you with a loving heart. And, not to get into anything, but Veronique just like a month ago was in it, right? Like, we experience these waves as we open up our system, and the things that move through can really shake us to our core. And the more you do the work, the more the things that are being highlighted become more core ruptures and traumas that happened, right? And so when we touch those core things, it's like, first we build a lot of safety in our system. And as you build more and more safety, the things that want and can be liberated become bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's, when we're in those moments, it's like, it's so hard to reach for support and help when you're in it. Like, it's a lot easier when you feel good. And learning how to do that, like how to actually reach and then receive the support, is the greatest medicine that you can give to yourself. Truly. Anytime that you can actually receive that support, it's massive. And so, like, if anyone's here and you haven't been to our live event to actually experience that, like, I know our MMI and Primary Abundance and all that stuff is great. But like, if you haven't at the very least been to a 2-day live event, go and grab yourself a ticket to the next live event. It's November, I think it's like 11th and 12th. Hold on, I'll tell you right now. Yeah, November 11th and 12th is the next one. Like, first of all, you get the recording of a previous one so you can go through it. And I would advise you to like actually go through that and then show up to the live, because it's basically the same course and it's not at all the same course. That's the crazy part. It's like you can witness the same content in the comfort of your own home and then like actually come and sit in that group field and you experience for yourself how different that could be. And don't take my word for it. Just like come and experience it. If you haven't done that, that would absolutely be an incredible first step to do. Let me see if Guy has anything here. Yeah, I'm just going to put this up here for now. If you want, this will give you, if you put the code HAVE50, it gives you 50% off the ticket price. And we offer a buy one, give one. So invite a friend. Like, don't do this stuff on your own. Stop being on your own little island doing this work, right? Like, come check out the event, experience it for yourself, and then don't take my word for it or the testimonials. I mean, we have plenty. You can go listen to those. But like, yeah, I really hope that what you walk out of today with is kind of like that noticing of the soul and the human, and how this human and the mind wants to keep you here, like where it's safe, quote unquote. And that the things that you want in life and what you actually want to experience, it's not here. It's not in that safe little bubble. It's in community. It's in receiving support. It's in finding new templates. So hopefully this motivates you to do that and take that on. I look forward to supporting you guys in our community in whatever way you feel ready and able to receive. We're here. We have myself, Guy, we have our entire team, Corey, Tobias, Georgina, Sarah. We have a slew of coaches. Like, there's more support here than you will ever be able to take in or be able to handle. And we'll just keep offering it. So hopefully this was valuable. Hope you guys had a wonderful time. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys at one of our next events. All right, my friends, have an amazing time. And I will speak to you